Recording. Hello, hey, welcome back to the show. I hope you're well, mate. It's great to see that beautiful face again. The beard's coming along beautifully too, I notice.
I've got red. I'm sunburnt. My arms are sunburnt. My little ears, my big ears are sunburnt. Yeah.
Looks good though, man. You got that rugged look down.
Well, I'm not even trying.
Yeah. Although now it's looking more salt than pepper, huh?
Yeah.
I'm getting a bit of that too. My chest hair, I've noticed for the first time, has got grey in it. I thought you were looking at my chest hair for a second. I realized you looked.
No, I was like, oh, chest.
Yeah. I was like, Jesus, you can't get in here. I thought you were going to come through the screen. So, Paul Lowe, we were speaking a bit before. We've obviously given this another crack, just trying to get the technical difficulties out the way. I've learned since then not to call this a challenge, but rather an adventure that you're on. And you're certainly on some adventures. And you know what? I've rethought things, Paul Lowe. And I think we're going to talk about your first adventure and then how it follows on to this one, because obviously you have to keep referring to that one anyway in order for this one to make sense. Those of you who know Paul Lowe, he's a stuntman. He's a legend. He's a stunt coordinator now. Isn't that right?
Yeah.
He's now.
I do it all.
He's a performer for many, many years. And if you want to hear about him as a stunt performer and his tales from everything from Dumbo to Captain America to The Mummy, then check out episode 1. He was the first and the star guest of that episode. And he's the most popular guest so far. Just saying, other boys. Got a lot to live up to. So, Paul Lowe, tell us about your adventures. What spawned it? What made you think about it? What made you do it? And how has it been?
Well, because of COVID and all that, malarkey, obviously we just stuck in. And before COVID, I was doing a lot of ice climbing and got in the mountains to lead towards a bigger picture in a couple of years doing Everest. So I had booked, I'd been ice climbing with a lady, and she was basically an expedition leader for Everest. So she's climbed it twice, and she was going this year to Everest. And she said to me, why don't you come with me and my Everest team? We'll do the walk into base camp. With my team, we climb up Lhotse, which is 6,100 meters, as like acclimatization, and we come down. So do that with us. We come down. Then she said, we'll leave. We'll go to Everest base camp, and then you go off with the Sherpa and do another mountain. So I was booked in to do that, and I was like, yes. And then obviously COVID happened, so that couldn't happen. And I was just getting very bored at home, and I was like struggling with, I was just doing like running or cycling, and I was like, and then I thought that when this finishes, I really want to go and do something fun. I want to go to the mountains or do something. And then I was on a phone call with David Holmes, and I was saying I was bored, and he said, well, when you get a chance and it frees up a little bit, why don't you try and get to my house and, like, I don't know, paddle it or row it or something? Like, what do you mean? He went, there must be a big river or rivers that join up. And I thought, I years ago, I'd done a little bit in canals and like rivers down south. And I knew that canals, you can join the canals. And I said, oh, I'll have a little think, Dave, because I might be able to do it by canal. So basically went home, looked at the canals, and you can't get from Liverpool to Southend by canals, but you can get to Liverpool to London. But you've got to do a lot of porches, so that means getting out your kayak, walking with it. And I was like, I could do that. And then I just thought, well, if I'm going to go from Liverpool, I may as well go from the very top of the canals to the bottom of the canals. And that's more of an epic journey. So I basically planned it all, set it up to do Lake District to London. And stupidly, I'd read somewhere, which I obviously hadn't, but in my head I had, that it had been done before, assisted, in 14 days. So I was like, I want to do it unassisted. Literally, no one helps me. No one carries any stuff. I get my boat out. I pull it round the locks. I pull it over. When there's tunnels, you got to go around the tunnel, like over hills. I'll do it all myself. And I was like, I want to do it. I want to do it in 10 days. If I do it unassisted in 10 days, and they've done it assisted in 10 days, then that's cool. I actually hadn't. When I came back, I realised they'd done it unassisted. Sorry, they'd done it assisted in 14 days. So I'd actually done it unassisted in 10 days, which is like, pushed it, which I've looked now, and it's actually never been done before. And the canal people, like the Canal Union or whatever, they're really interested in the story. They're going to do a piece on me, and they've said, because it's never been done in that time frame, or unassisted. They've actually called it unassisted, but they were getting picked up, taken round locks. They were getting picked up and taken to camps. They were just, whereas me, it was just me on my own. I left in the Lake District and I literally done it all. I had all my food with me. I portaged. I'd have to pull the kayak sometimes for like 3 or 4 hours. But yeah, we've gone from the Lake District to London. It took 10 days. So it was just epic because it was, paddling all day. And then trying to find a camp last thing at night because I wanted to paddle as much as I can. And then you struggle to find a camp and it's starting to get dark and then you're pissing down with rain and then you literally...
Yeah, tell us a bit more about that. Like, can you just camp anywhere on the side of the river? Because that's the part I was thinking. I was like, how are you going to, like, what if it's like the middle of a town?
No, so basically it's the middle of the town. You can't camp anywhere. So you go through big towns. Like I went through Manchester, Stoke, near Birmingham, Tamworth, Rugby. You're going through all these towns. So what you've got to do is you really have to push on and know that, okay, if I'm going to be in a town today, I need to push on through it. So I'm past the town when it gets to the evening. And what you do is a canal, because canals have been there for hundreds of years. The canals that were made, so the boat goes on this side, it gets pulled by a horse. So there's on one side of the canal, there's always a footpath, always. And then on the other side is normally like private land or farmland, or sometimes it could be like a 20-foot bank, like steep bank you can't get up, or just trees or reeds you can't get near it. So what I'd do is, I'd never want to camp on the public footpath because, you could get a jogger in the morning at 4 a.m. or whatever. I was like, I just don't want to be on a public footpath. So I'd always have to try and camp on like the other side, which is actually not allowed. It's illegal. I knew that, and I spoke to the canal people about it, and they said, it doesn't concern them because how I done it, I was on my own. I left no trace. I didn't do campfires, didn't do nothing like that. I'd get there maybe 9:30 at night, and I'd be on the water for 5 a.m. But what they say is you can camp, but you need to get permission off the owner. Well, I couldn't get permission off the owner at 9:30 at night in the rain. You know what I mean? Like, so most of the times I'm just trying to look for a little bit of land which is out the way, which is, not got wildlife roaming around near it, that I can just put my tent in, get a good couple of hours sleep, get dry, and then get up in the morning, get back on the water. But that's, it's difficult, Doug, and it's hard. And even like, it's not nice paddling all day and being drenched through and then putting a tent up in the rain and then but that's what makes it more sweeter at the end, because the struggle, so as much as it's really difficult, you want it to be difficult. You don't want it to be easy. Twice I had 2 close calls where it was getting dark and I had nowhere to camp. And I was like, I'm literally going to have to put a head torch on and just paddle to the night or something. And then lucky enough, I found one little bit where it got up this little sort of bank, and it was like boggy sort of mud with like slugs and stuff. But I just put my tent down and slept. I was like, I've got to sleep. And then the second time, I just came across this one little bit of grass with 2 canal boats, and I got my boat just in between them, got up, and then just put my tent right by them. And I thought, if anyone comes out, I've just got to tell them like it's for charity, and I'll be up first thing in the morning. But like, I've got to sleep. I've got to look after myself. I've got to rest. I've got to. But yeah.
So, and the food situation, you obviously didn't pack those 10 days worth with you the whole time. Did you stop in towns at all? Did you give yourself much of a rest in terms of like, would you go get a coffee, for instance, in a town?
No, so I did. I took 10 days of food with me.
You did? What were you eating?
So I basically every day I had 3 meals: breakfast, dinner, tea, and I got like camp food, so just like freeze dries food, and I put it in like packs of like, because I want to do it in 10 days. So I was like, I'll just I think I took 9 days worth, because I thought what I'll do is hopefully on the way I will be able to grab something. And I done it in like 3, so I just done like 3 all wrapped up, 3 days worth wrapped up, another 3 days worth, so I could just put it in the canoe and then I had a big bag full of like snacks, but I also made a packed lunch for every day, just like with fatty stuff in, like 2 big bits of cheese, like salami, like salted crisp, just things that I know I'll enjoy eating, that I can just open and just put in my mouth just for food. But no, like it's very hard on canals. You might come across little places or pubs open, but COVID, basically the lockdown got released on the 4th of July, and I wanted to wait until it got released, and I went on the 5th. So a lot of places weren't open. I mean, luckily it did get to stop sometimes if I was pulling the kayak on the main road, and I'd get like an ice cream or a Diet Coke, or you go past the shop. But as far as meals go, I was hoping I'd pass like a chippy, but I never did. So I skipped a lot of meals I shouldn't have. But like of a night, I had a meal of a night, but I get in my tent and I'm like, I don't want to get out in the rain and boil water. So I'll just go to sleep and I'll just get up in the morning and have a good breath. Like, but that's part of it.
So what were they, freeze dried? So you can eat them straight out? How does this come? Is it like a sludge? Is it a powder?
No, so it's basically like it's food freeze dried, and what you do is you boil water and you pour the water into it, and you leave it for like 10 minutes and you shake it, and then it absorbs the water, and it's hot obviously, and it becomes. And some of them are not nice, but some of them are actually really tasty. And then, luckily, the breakfast ones I got were like muesli, and I was putting hot water in them. So you got to boil the water. It doesn't take long, but it's still a rigmarole boiling the water. And I put hot water in.
What did you have to boil the water? Did you have like a
little stove? Yes, I had a little stove.
Oh, like what? And how was it? A stove? So you had a fire?
Gas.
You had electric?
No,
gas.
So a little
oh,
gas
yeah.
Put it down. Like, I had a full shebang. Like, it was a proper setup. Like, it was, and it was a good stove. I made sure it was a good stove that could withstand wind and etc. But the breakfast one, you put water in, and hot water, and it'd be milky. And I was like, why am I boiling the water? So with the breakfast, I'd basically just paddle, put up to the side, get water out, pour water in. And it was just like milky muesli. It was nice. So, and it was quick. But the other ones, you can't really do that because it's like, mushroom risotto. You don't want like cold mushroom risotto.
Yeah, that sounds gross.
Yeah.
Okay, and let's get on to the James Cox question.
What's the James? Oh, the poo. Oh, yeah. James Cox has obviously got infatuation with poo, and James Cox wanted to know how I would poo. So basically, excuse me, I'm just drinking coffee. You just pull up on the side. So when you're going along, there is a lot of not on the footpath, but the other side there's a lot of like farmland and a lot of bushes. So you'd struggle sometimes, but you'd have to basically hold it in, get off to the side, and find a piece of forest land that you could go in that no one could see you. Like, I haven't got a spade, but I'd try and dig a bit of a hole, poo in the hole, wipe me bum, cover it, and that's what it is. So it's the same way as you're probably standing loads of shit anyway doing it. It's the same way as a sheep having excuse me language, a poo.
How did you enjoy the experience of going wild?
I quite like having a poo in the wild. I'm not. I think it's good. I apart from sometimes when you're having a big wee and you realise that you just weed on your foot. Well, I did wee on my foot. I'm like, that's not good. But then I'm next to water, so you can just soak it. But I quite like pooing in the wild. Do you like pooing in the wild?
I tell you what, I get a little bit paranoid. About where it's going, and like what touches your bum. Like sometimes the grass touches your bum. You're like, oh, what? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't
grass,
Yeah.
There's a famous South African movie called Oh Shucks, it's Shuckster. He was like the go-to comedian in South Africa doing like pranks, and he did a few movies that were fictional, and they played a prank on a guy when he was a kid, where the two kids got together. His name was Rhino, and he had like a best friend. He was a black guy, and of course this is like set in apartheid South Africa, so kind of they had this friendship, but it wasn't really allowed. And they used to really pick on the guy that worked at the farm, like the guy that was giving them shit all the time. And when the guy went for what they call a boskaka, which is a bush shit, they would put a spade under his ass, so he would shit onto the spade without him knowing, and then take the spade away. So he would finish and then look back and be like, "What the fuck? Where's the shit?" So that was like a well-known prank to pull on someone, So
yeah.
I think that instilled this paranoia of pooing in the wild for me. Although I tell you what, when I used to work for Bear Grylls, on his island in Wales, there's a toilet outside, like just a porcelain toilet facing the ocean.
Yeah.
And I was like, that I can get on board with. Well,
the thing is when you do stuff like this, you've got to stop being having inhibitions to go, oh, you've just got to get on with stuff. You literally got to, you can't, like, it is what it is. You know what I mean? Like, I've got to go for a shit. I've got to have a piss. I'm not going to sit there and be like, oh, if there's a walkway and I can go behind somewhere and I can have a shit or a piss, then that's what I'm going to do. And I can't be like, oh, I've just got to wait for a toilet, because you won't, and you end up shitting yourself. I mean, it's that kind of thing of you've got to let things go. You can't always be clean. I think on that whole kayak trip, I got one wet wipe wash where I actually wet myself. Like, I had wet wipes and cleaned myself. And then one night I actually pulled into like a marina for canal boats, and I went to the office and it was closed, and I phoned the guy and explained what I was doing, and I said, could I just park my kayak up and put my tent on that bit of grass? And he's like, of course you can, it's a charity, like, of course you can. And he said, listen, he said, come in the shop, and he was trying to give me all these sweets and biscuits and that, and he said, there's showers there, have a shower. So I had a shower as well. So in the space of 10 days I had one shower. And I went, but it's like, I can't moan or go like, oh, because it is what it is. I'm going to stink, I'm going to be dirty. Like, you just got to get on with it. It's a fine line between having fun and doing something really cool, or don't have fun, do something really cool and just be near a toilet and get clean. You know what I mean? It's like, you've got to throw that one away and go, actually, I'm just going to go out and enjoy myself and not think too much about what society says you shouldn't do. You shouldn't have a shit in the wild. It's like,
no, that is very interesting, Paul. And it's weird that you brought this upon yourself too. Like, you chose this, right? So
100%. And that was, sorry to think in, but
please.
that's what, you know, when I was doing the kayak trip, the same with the one I'm doing now with the kayak trip, you do have moments where you just want to fucking shout and swear because nothing goes right, and you just hit these things and you're like, and I just have to say to myself, I asked for this. This is my idea. So that's what, no, I can't moan, I can't kick off. I wanted to do this. This is a challenge. All these challenges and these things that are happening, as hard as they are, they're just asking me questions, and I've just got to find a way to answer them. And if I answer them properly, then at the end, I'll feel better for it. And you know, at the end, I was over, for about 4 days, I was like floating because it was amazing. Just for myself, I felt proud of myself. I looked at the map halfway through. I had the map on my kayak and I was turning it over, so I didn't see the whole map. And halfway through, it got wet. 2 days of continuous rain, it got wet, it moist inside. So one day it was like sunny, so I got it all out to dry it. And I seen where it come from and where I was, and it was around Birmingham. And I felt emotional. It choked me up because I was like, I've done that on my own. I've travelled from there to there on my own. No one's helped me. Not one step of the way. You know what I mean? Like, and then obviously to get further and to see the whole distance from the Lake District to London, like 340 miles. I done that. That wasn't horsepower. That wasn't engine. That was me, little Lowe. That was me just putting the effort in, working hard every day, being knackered, being fatigued, having sore, everything. And so you do go in them places where you go, oh, but I put it on myself. I wanted to struggle. And I think in struggle, you find yourself and you find interesting ways to overcome things. And you find, like, I'm doing it now on this walk where things are coming into my head and I've got to find ways to get past it and everything else. That's just the way it is, but that's really good. Otherwise, I could just sit in my nice little bubble back at home and just do the same thing, but I'm not learning anything about myself. And at the end of it, these two things, I get to feel a real good sense of achievement. You know what I mean?
No, that's great insight, Paul. I wanted to ask you, what kind of things do you do to keep yourself occupied? Do you listen to podcasts? Do you listen to music? Do you think things through? You said you like the time on your own. I'm curious, you know, what are you doing with that time on your own?
Well, on the kayak trip, I didn't want to listen to me music on my phone because I wanted to try and conserve battery. I had spare battery packs, but I wanted to conserve battery. So I basically got a little radio, and it was like a little small radio, and it was brilliant. And I just put like Magic FM on, so I just would paddle along and have old songs on. And because on the canal, you'd see people, but I just sing along. And even if people were there, I'd just sing, and I was just and I was like, yeah. And then I'd turn it off sometimes. And then 3 days in, I think it was, I was paddling, and there was like a tree that had fallen. And I was like, I can get underneath that. I'll just go underneath it. I won't have to go around it. And as I went underneath it, a twig or branch just hit the radio and scooped it out. And I just heard, and what's that? And I looked, the radio was gone, and it basically had sunk. And I was like, oh my God. So I spent the next like 4 days, I think, no radio. And at first I was like, I'm going to struggle, because I'm like you, Doug. My life is music. I listen to music all the time. I just love it. Get a shot. I just love music on. And I was like, oh, but you know what? Weirdly, it really helped me because it forced me to not do that. And actually, again, this sounds stupid, but I just sing, and I'd sing show tunes, I'd sing anything, I'd sing. I've got a massive range of songs in my head, but for some reason, I could only think of about 3, and I kept singing them same 3 songs all over and over. And then, and actually, I got into a rhythm of just paddling, and the weird thing is that near the end, I knew sort of how far he had, and I was like, I can use my phone a bit more now because I know I've got battery, and I put my headphones in, and I had to turn it off because it felt like I wasn't enjoying it. I wanted to just have the little quietness in the water, and it was weird, you know what I mean? And so it was really nice, but this is different because this one is obviously I'm walking, and everyone who's listening now has walks, runs, whatever. So it gets quite monotonous, the whole thing of walking. So I've got like a battery pack which I can just charge my phone 5 times in a day if I need to. So I've been listening to a lot of music. I listened to an audio book the other day. I listened to a podcast. I've got a radio app, so I listen to radio. And also I'm trying to do what I've done on the kayak trip, is just not listen to anything and just be with me and think stuff and try and process stuff. And I do still have a laugh with cows and sheep. I can't help it. I see a cow, I just want to shout at it and have a laugh at it, talk to it like a real person. That, for some reason, that makes me laugh. But like I was saying before, even on this, you go through highs and lows. Like this is, I mean, up to now, I think I've done 123 miles. And my feet are sore, not blistered. They are blistered, but that isn't hurting. It's like under my foot, like the sole is hurting every time I step. So I was trying to get that out of my head, and then you go through waves of like, this is amazing, look, this is beautiful, I'm so lucky to be doing it, to like, why am I doing this? Why am I doing stuff like this? I'm never doing anything like that. Once I get to days, I'm never doing nothing like this again. And then, but like I said before, I'm doing this so I get asked questions, because I know I'm going to struggle. I haven't trained for this. I haven't trained and walked this for this length of time ever. So I knew I was going to get asked questions. So it's down to me to answer them questions. It's down to me to go, okay, you know what, your foot's sore, finish early, get up tomorrow, new start. You're just trying to put yourself in a different mindset. Because again, this is on my head. I chose to do this the second time. I'm doing it to raise money for charity. I think about my nephew a lot. I think about Dave. I feel emotional, but Dave, obviously he's in a wheelchair, and he said to me before I started this, he went, if I could walk, I'd do something like this. So every time I'm walking in the day, Dave's phoning me and messaging me, and when it gets hard, I'm like, I can walk. You know what I mean? Like, he can't walk, he'd love to, and so stuff like that keeps me going. You know what I mean? It's like, sorry to get upset, but it's like there's that many positives about doing something like this to push me on. The only negatives are obviously the distance, that it gets boring on my feet. So it's down to me in my head to override it. And so stuff like, listen to stuff like thinking of Dave and people to inspire me. Knowing that when I get to the end, how I'll feel to see Dave, how happy he'll be. That's what drives me. That's what pushes me on. You know what I mean?
There's so much you said in that piece, Lowe, that is so interesting. I mean, the most poignant of that, of course, is Dave's situation, and to realize contextually, sore feet compared to not being able to walk, it's a game changer. It shows you how perspective really is everything.
Yeah.
Really is everything, and that's amazing. You can do it for him and keep him in mind while you're doing it, and I'm sure he appreciates that. But yeah, you can't help but think Dave is an interesting person, because I think he is both an inspiration and a warning to so many people.
Yeah.
In our industry, I think he embodies those two things. His presence, it makes us very, very proud to do what we do, realizing that those risks are inherent and they exist, and we see it in people like him and in Olivia, but then seeing them push on despite what's going on with them is inspirational in itself. So you have this dual effect of warning and inspiration. And I've never met Dave, but I knew about his accident before I even started stunts, you know, and it's something that weighs in my mind. I never knew him outside of his current situation, but I imagine seeing him juxtaposed or compared to how he was must be,
Yeah.
it must be really hard, you know, to have to know him in
Well,
both
I used to
ways.
look at Dave. You know, I used to look at Dave because I used to perform with Dave, and when I used to see him, you know, he was ripped. It's a bit taller than me, but he was small. And I used to look at Dave, and I'd think, I want to be like him, like in his shape. You know what I mean? I want to be. And now, obviously, you know, he's changed. He's in a wheelchair. He's still got the same mindset, and he's still as positive as ever. But he's limited in what he can and can't do. And he messaged me the other day, and he was like, "What's the weather like?" And he said, "Oh, mate, I wish I was walking with you." And I messaged back, and I said, "Well, you are really, Dave, because every day I'm thinking about you, and knowing that you want to be here, even when it gets hard for me, just makes me appreciate where I am and what I'm doing all the more." You know what I mean? Like I've got to, even though it's a negative for him, I've got to use that negative for him and use it as a positive for me, and go, okay, like, you know, this sounds stupid, but the other day I was having a conversation with Ed, and I was like, just run, Lowe, because you haven't ran yet, and you've walked for 20 miles, just run for a bit. So I ran for a bit, and I was just jogging, just slowly, and then because of the way I'm in my head, I was like, well, this is just a normal jog, so anyone could do this, but you're not anyone, so you need, this is a conversation I'm having in my head, and I was like, you need to push yourself. So if you ran 20 miles, let's see what you can do. So I started running a bit faster, and then in my head, I started thinking of Dave then, and I'm like, he can't do this, and I've walked for 20 miles, and now I'm running, and I'm like, oh. So I proper put fucking effort in, you know what I mean? Like I really went for it, and only for myself, no one's around. But what I mean is like, I just try and use things to inspire me and to push me, and only moments like that, you know, I only ran for like half an hour, but I was just putting it in because it was like, I felt aggressive, and I felt like, you know, I want to prove to myself, okay, I can walk for a bit, but let's see if I can run for a bit. Well, I can run for a bit. Let's see if I can really run for a bit. And that emotion and that sort of energy, you can use it to spur you on. You know what I mean? So as much as obviously Dave can't do what I'm doing, I'm using that, and I'm using the fact that he'd love to do it as energy for me to make me do it and to push me on and to enjoy it and to push myself and, you know, to feel proud of myself and everything else that comes with it.
All right, Lowe, I did this to you last time, and you know, I don't want to minimize or mitigate what you're saying. I've just realized my laundry's outside and my sprinklers are on. So can you regale someone on another tale of some of the insights you've had while walking, while I go get that in?
Okay. Yes. Well, I've just seen Doug there in his underpants. So I'll just tell you, so basically I started walking on Sunday. I forget the date. I've been walking now for 5 days. So today was my 5th day. So in total, there's like 223 miles from my front door in Liverpool, Rain Hill, to Dave's front door in Southend-on-Sea. And so today I passed halfway. And also I've done a lot, like another nearly 20 miles. So in total now I've done 123 miles, I think. So yeah, and also Doug's things. Oh, there he is.
Oh, I have my headphones in actually, so I can hear all of that.
Oh, there he is.
Oh, God damn it, that was cool. Yes, so you've gone halfway now, which is why we started talking.
Yeah.
Now we touched on it first before anything else. Do you have a book with you? A notebook?
No.
Can I suggest you get one on the way? Or, yeah, go on. Or I was going to say, when you finish this, jot some stuff down. Because I think you'll have insights, even if it's on your phone, you'll have so many great insights that I think they are so flittering that often we think we'll remember stuff, but you don't, you know?
No, so I do exactly that. When I went to Nepal, I took one every day. When I went kayaking, I took one, but I was too tired, I couldn't do it. But I same again, I done a lot of like audio stuff and this. So because we haven't spoke about it yet. So basically what happened with this was I came back from the kayak trip, and it had been like 2 weeks, and Dave phoned me up and said, "Why don't you go and do why don't you cycle to my house and I'll give you £500 your charity?" Long story short, cycling would be far too dangerous on A roads on my own. So I said, I can't do a cycling day, but I'll walk it. And he said, okay. So I tried it 2 days later, and I had a big backpack with me, and it was 16 miles in. My feet just gave up. They just were like, I had blisters all over them. The weight of the backpack was probably over 20 kg. It was just too heavy, so I had to stop. But I messaged him. I was like, listen, I've got to stop because I can't carry on. But I'll do it again. Don't worry. So I took it on board. I waited for 8 days, rested my feet, looked at what I had to do, what I had to do differently. On the last trip, what I was going to do, I had everything: backpack with sleeping bag, tent, mat, electronics, food, stove, everything. So this time I was like, I'm not doing that. I'm going light. No food, no drink. So that's one of the reasons why I haven't got a book, because I just, whatever I don't need, whatever I don't need, I'm not bringing. So I've literally gone very minimal. So it means I've got less weight in my bag, so less pressure on my feet. And then I'm just staying at B&Bs in the evening, because last time was a challenge, was like, I want to be unassisted, I want to get there. And this isn't a challenge like that. This isn't like unassisted. This is just me walking and getting to Dave's. You know what I mean? So, but I agree, because stuff like that, even how you feel when you write it will be different than when you write it, 2 weeks later. But I just, ultimately, I just wanted to save on weight. So anything I could, I was like, that's gone. So I just didn't want to bring it. But yeah, I agree. I do often do that.
And it's something I wanted to bring up while you're talking about your kayak trip and kind of why you do these things, staying at different places. Some days are better than others. Some days it's raining, some days it's shining. Some days you feel good, other days you're in a good mood, you're singing, other days you're not. I just thought it's such a good physical representation of the temporary nature of things. And then we circle back around to Dave's situation.
Yeah.
Like, things are temporary. Things that we take for granted change. And it's interesting.
Do you know how many people, Doug, I got? I mean, even now, I listen, and anyone listens to this, anyone who sent me a message, I might not reply to everyone, but it means a lot of people messaging me, and people I don't know messaging me. But the amount of people who message me after it, and just like, I had friends messaging me like, oh, I'm a wife with 2 kids, and I do nothing for myself. You've motivated me to get off my ass and do something, whether just go for a walk or like a little hill. I'm going to do more. I had quite a few of that, but I had a lot of people messaging me going, oh, I wish I could do something like that, or I'd love to do something like that. There's nothing stopping no one. You know me, Doug. I'm not like special. I'm not like got massive powers or dead knowledgeable, but I've just got a tent and I've got a set of balls that I go, right, I'm going to go and do stuff. And, I don't train for endurance and train for, but I've just got a mindset that I'll do it. It's not about, oh, I'm tired, I've got to give up. 10 times today I was tired. So 10 times I just sat down for 2 minutes, resting my feet and got back up again. It's how you approach things. Anyone can do what I'm doing. This is not like, oh, Lowe goes out for 20-mile runs 5 days a week. I don't do that. But I just get my head around stuff, and you go, okay, I'll just... I hadn't kayaked, Doug, for probably 8 years. And then I got in the kayak and paddled to London. Like, everyone was going, where your arms sore? And I was like, no, actually, weirdly, they weren't. My feet was, because of the footwear it took, but my arms weren't sore. But and I was tired doing it. And you want to stop, but you just don't stop because you can. And that's what I mean when people write to me saying, oh, I'd love to do something like this, or I want to do something like that. Just have a go. It doesn't have to be cycling. It doesn't have to be paddling that distance or walking this distance. But a challenge can be, I'm going to walk to the next town, or I'm going to do this. Like, just set yourself a little goal and do it. Anyone can do it. And that's what I don't understand. There's people saying, oh my God, you got some balls, or it's lovely. And I've got a lot of people saying, what you're doing is inspirational. Listen, that fills my heart full of a lot of love. I like it. But I don't find what I'm doing extraordinary. I just find that I'm going out and enjoying myself, and I'm trying to do some stuff that just keeps me occupied and keeps me on my toes a little bit. You know what I mean? You can go and do it. Anyone can do it. You're just having the balls. A mate of mine, Carl Donahue, and he's a boxer, good lad. And he said to me the other day, he said, I'd love to do what you're doing, Lowe. He said, but I couldn't walk and be on my own for that length of time. I could walk with someone else. And I was like, if you can't do something on your own, in your own company, then how could you then be comfortable with someone else? You've got to be comfortable with yourself first. That's the bottom line. You've got to be able to do things on your own first, and then go on to the next level doing stuff with other people. You know what I mean? It's like, if you have to wait for people to do stuff with, you'll never do anything. You know what I mean?
I can't agree with you more. And there's a lot to be said for this COVID situation for helping people realize, like, if they are okay with being on their own. You know? And I think what happens is we lean on others, and like we were talking about music's another thing, entertainment. We are so surrounded by distraction now. It's very easy to get through life without ever having to actually challenge whether you're happy with it. Because you can just go from one distraction to the other, to the other, to the other, and never have to think about anything.
Yeah.
And it keeps you in this fugue state. And you can kind of get by like that. So I think that's what scares people, you know. I would say to your friend Carl, if that's something that scares you, it's probably something you should do.
Yeah, but I agree. Listen, Carl was the guy who dropped me off. So Carl dropped me off in the Lake District with my kayak. And you know, on the way there, I was shit myself. Because I've planned it all. I spent 6 weeks planning it. But I'd never done that before. So everything is like, it's on my head. When he said goodbye and I paddled off, I was like, this is me now for 10 days or maybe more. And I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what it was going to be like with people. I didn't know what it was going to be like with the boats. I didn't know anything. But that energy and that nervousness, you have to use that to your advantage. Like, I'm not going there going, I'm not bothered. Of course I'm bothered. On this, I'm nervous. When I was, every day I get up in the morning, I'm nervous to walk because, one, I'm on A road, so I've got lots of traffic coming towards me. And it only takes one stupid driver to do stuff. Two, the distance, because I obviously want to do as much distance as I can. And then, you know, like today I've done like 19 miles. So I start tomorrow with 0 again. And it's the monotony of like, 1 mile, 2 mile, you know, and it's quite daunting. But that's what it is. So everyone, if you're nervous to do something, or going, I'm too nervous going to do that on my own. But you want that. That's why you should go and do it on your own. And when you do it, you'll get a better sense of achievement from it because you're going, I just done that and I smashed it. You know what I mean? But people live, like you were saying, people live in that sort of little comfortable bubble, the normal routine. Oh, I want to do something like that. Do you want to do something like that? Yeah. Well, we'll do it together. Okay, you know what I mean? It's like,
even you say, when do you want to do it? Thursday. I can't do Thursday. Next Friday. Oh, not good for me. What's not good for me? You know, and that's what you're saying about waiting for people. You'll just, you know, sometimes you just got to go, you know, and people sometimes will follow and sometimes they won't.
Yeah.
You got to go. And I think what's important, what you said is the challenge can be anything. It's relative only to you.
Yeah.
You know, and 100%. I would actually say that with goals, it's better that you get some under your belt. So choose something that you could do that is you can achieve, because I think it becomes addictive. And I think that's what's happened with you, Lowe. You've had a lot of success in your life, not unearned, but you have experience doing what you say you will. Yeah. And now it's got easier because you trust yourself. So when you say you're going to do something, you go, yeah, okay. In the past, when I've said this has happened. I think what you underestimate is a lot of people haven't been able to do that for whatever reason. Maybe they set the goal too high, or maybe they just struggle a bit with motivation. But the opposite can happen. You can get very used to not being able to finish something. And when that becomes your MO, your common, how can I say, your most common outcome, then that becomes your reality, you know?
Yeah. But also, because I'm this leads into a story as well, but if you set yourself a goal, sometimes not getting to the end goal is not the achievement anyway. Sometimes just trying to go for it is the achievement. For instance, so I done the kayak trip and I was like, I'd done it, and what I wanted to achieve, I achieved it. I made it in the time, and I was very proud of myself. And I got home, and everyone was patting me on the back, and it felt really good. And then I started doing this walk for Dave, and I was like, yeah. And I told some people, and then 16 miles in, I couldn't do it. So my friend come and picked me up, and she was like, "Oh, how's it feel to fail?" And I went, "What do you mean?" She went, "How's it feel that you've set off to do something and you failed, you can't do it?" And I was like, "Well, I haven't failed it because it was just a challenge for my mate, so I just thought to go and do it. But even if you want to call it a failure, I won't fail because I've learned now that I can't do it that way. So I said, not that I'm going to say with it, but you just wait, and in a couple of weeks I'll do it again and I'll complete it." So actually, by me failing that first time, it just gave me a better understanding of I can't do it that way. I failed at it, but what I can do it this way. So actually, me failing was a real good thing. I didn't fail, but me not completing it was a real good thing because I could have been 70 miles in and my feet just being total bits. But because I tried to do it and I got to a point where I couldn't complete it, and I was like, I can't do it with all that weight. I've got to look at a different way, blah, blah, blah. I went back. And that's why now I've done over 123 miles because that first time I tried it and it didn't work. And that's what people need to think. If you just go, you know, there's no fault in someone going, I wanna go and walk up Snowdon and then only getting halfway. Because when you come back down, you go, I only got halfway because I was too hot and your feet were sore. And you go, okay, well next time take a thinner top and take different shoes. Like everything is just a lesson. And if people thought of it that way, then people would achieve a lot more. But I think people are scared to go to start it because they don't want to get that. Oh,
people are scared to fail too. You know, it's a
yeah,
horrible feeling failing. And I think it's funny that a book I'm reading at the moment talks about that, about the fruits of your labor not belonging to you, which is kind of liberating in a way, because you go, just do the thing.
Yeah.
You know, and if you know what, if it's too much, stop. Have the
Yeah.
confidence to go, don't want to do it. You know,
Yeah.
or you know, like I think your decision to not do it on your feet is a good one. You're like, oh, well, I won't do it here. But then if you just allow yourself to step away from the failures and the successes, you can go, I'm just doing this thing. Like it's no more, no less, because I can only speak from my experience. What happens with me is I build up, what does it mean if I fail? Like what are the knock-on effects? Like what do people think of me? Who do I become then? And like the reality is you just didn't do the thing.
Yeah.
Like we make it very complicated when it's very simple. You know, just it sounds like that's what you're doing with your walk too. You go, it's very simple. I'm walking to London. I'm going to see my mate Dave. I walk 1 mile, then I walk 2, then I walk 3.
Yeah.
And you know, I think there's a lot to be said for that.
There's more, sorry, just quickly, you learn more by failing than you do by winning. And that's simple. If you win everything, you will never learn. You need to fail. You need to struggle sometimes because you learn from it. That's what it is.
There's a great saying that if you hit the target every time, it's too close or it's too big.
Yeah.
You know, and that's a lot to be said. But you know, you can start there. You know, maybe do something easy and then start. The point is to get that target further and further away, right? That's the human condition. Lowe, let's talk a little bit about what the charity is you're doing this for, and how people can donate and how they can support you too personally. You know, don't be shy to say. You said one thing was like people messaging you and calling you. Is there anything else they can do?
And also, so basically, I'm doing it for it's Alder Hey Children's Hospital. So quite a while ago now, my nephew got really sick. It was like 3 blood clots on her brain, one after another, like in succession, and they basically saved his life. He's still got a lot of sort of problems now, and he still lives with a lot of sort of different situations, but they still support him. And when it happened, you say thank you to the doctors, and I remember going in with like chocolates and biscuits and card, and that's not enough. So I'd always thought I want to do something for them. So this is my little way of trying to raise money for them. And if people want to support it, if they go onto my Instagram, it's the link is on there on my bio. My Instagram is Little Lowe, and also if they don't, you can go to justgiving/Little Lowe Kayak, and it'll be on there as well. And so basically it's just I only the idea first was to do the kayak trip, and then I was like, I can raise money as well. So I just put it as like £1,000 because I thought if I can raise £1,000, that'd be really cool. Well, I'd raise 1,000 because I've got good friends and family. I'd raise £1,000 before I'd even left. So now, where I stand now, I think I'm £6,500. I think I've raised or near enough, which is amazing because it's just there's some people like in America who've sent money. They don't know me really, and they don't know the hospital. The fact that they're just interested in my story and they're seeing me pushing every day and they want to donate, that's amazing for me. But listen, if people can't donate because the situation at the moment with COVID, I totally get it. I would never push it. People have got struggles. But like you just said then, I've had so many messages of people when I was kayaking, just people saying nice things, people saying support, people, saying things after it, which mean a lot. Even like today, I had a friend of mine he'll go nameless, but he's like, he said, I love seeing you do stuff, Lowe. I love seeing little videos. He said it fills his heart full of joy because he's going through probably a bit of a crappy time, what he's doing, and it's nice to see someone going out and having an adventure, and that means a lot to me because I'm having fun. I struggle sometimes, but I'm having fun doing it, and it's a process. But if I can actually, people can watch it and people can go, oh yeah, wow, look at that, you know what I mean? Or people can be a bit inspired, or people genuinely feel like a little bit of emotion towards what I'm doing, and feel that I am pushing as hard as I can. When people send you that or say they're proud of you, that means a lot to me. You know, that means the world. Having people say I'm proud of you or whatever, that there's nothing better than that, is there? You know what I mean? To get a pat on the back. We don't often get that now in the age that we are. Well, you're younger than me. So like all the messages and stuff, that it's pretty amazing. And the fact that people go out the way just to message you, to say a nice thing, that's really kind. So people don't have to message me, you know what I mean? I'm not looking for people to message me. The support I've got is from my friends, Dave, who messages me every day and phones me, and we have a laugh, and he sends me like playlists and that. But when I do get messages though, yeah, it does fill me out. It's nice.
Amazing. And I will say, Lowe, you're definitely an inspirational guy, you know, from the little time I've known you, which is kind of getting on a bit now. What are we talking, like maybe 5-6 years?
No, more than that.
You think so? Exodus was probably the start, huh? Exodus was
Yeah.
I wish I could phrase this better. Exodus was there's a word for like the start of something, the impetus.
The bear.
Yeah. You know, I was always intrigued by you and your training. You watching you shadow box, obviously someone who's able to turn their mind at something, you know, and also someone who was ferocious both in their kindness and in their opinion. And that's kind of, in our industry, you'd think full of tough guys, but actually there's not that many people that are happy to put their head above the parapet, you know.
Well, that means a lot. Thank you, Doug. That's very kind of you.
And, you know, yeah, I look up to guys like you, and there's a few others on the register that kind of, despite how it might go, they say what they mean. And that's in short supply, I think, in the world in general, you know.
Yeah.
So it's always inspirational, just that from a personality perspective. And then coming back to what you're saying about this is doing things to make people feel motivated or feel something. There's a common saying that art, you know, should make you feel something. It's not necessarily good, it's not necessarily bad, but it should make you feel something. And certainly what you're doing could be termed as art, I think, for exactly that reason.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot to be picked up from this. So, mate, well done on what you're doing. I look forward to seeing more of what's going on, and I hope people keep checking in. And it's great to see you doing it, and you kind of do it with a smile on your face, which is a real sign of character, you know.
Well, I'm very fortunate. You know, I'm not doing this to inspire people. I'm doing this for myself. But in the process, if people can watch it and feel something, or be inspired, or just go, actually, I want to go for a walk, then that's amazing. But you know, it's a journey, and I'm lucky to be able to go on these kind of journeys. I push myself, but like we spoke about before, I've got friends who can't do what I'm doing, physically would want to and can't. So the fact that I can just go out and do stuff like this, you know, I'll get up tomorrow. I'll get up at like 5 o'clock. I'll take my feet. I'll have some breakfast quick, and I'll get on the road for about 6:30. And it's lovely because there's no one out. And it's nice because you get to see a bit of the world you'll never get to see again. You're seeing some lovely villages. Like, I'm very lucky. You know what I mean? And everyone else could be very lucky if they just go, you know what, I'm going to go for a nice little walk. I'm just going to find a little route I haven't done before. And that's all it is, though. It's nothing special. The only thing special about me is that I will push myself a little bit and try and take it past that point where a lot of people go, oh, it's too hard. I quite like that bit of it being too hard. But no, I appreciate your kind words. That means a lot. And I don't take it lightly what people say about me. You know me, I'm one of them people anyway. It means a lot when people are generous with the feelings or with what they think. People aren't really like that anyway. People don't get that out very often, so it means a lot. So thank you.
My pleasure. Lowe, I'm going to let you get on, knowing that you have to get at 6:30 tomorrow. So yeah, best of luck, my man. And I can't wait to see the rest of this. Don't forget, guys, donate if you can. Give little Lowe a bit of support if you can. And we'll see you guys all soon. Lowe, thank you so much for getting down with Doug.
Nice one, Doug.